because we've been talking about race mixing.
Okay.
That's sort of been.
That's the first time that word has been said.
Nobody
on the show before you guys got here.
Okay.
And indirectly also, yeah. So I thought I'd ask the panel, and this is really prompted by Myron, because, I respect everybody's opinions on this, but what does the panel think about race mixing? You all have black boyfriends, except for the Jewish boyfriend. Why don't we start with you? What do you think about race mixing? Do you think about this? That's a fair question.
So, I actually don't necessarily call it race mixing. I call it interracial dating. After that, I don't know the exact time frame, but I believe in the 1950s, that's when interracial marriage was legalized. Please, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I can't put a correct date to it. But I don't think it's inherently bad. I don't think it's inherently something we should strive for. If it happens, it happens. I know there are certain people who their dating preferences are anti one specific race. I do not agree with that. But if someone comes from like a very Asian family and they're like, listen, for cultural reasons, for like getting along reasons, for integration reasons, it's going to be in my best interest to date another Asian person. I really do get that. But if someone is like, an Asian person who says, I'll date anyone besides Hispanics, that's, it's a little sticky.
I see. Why don't we just go around the panel? Can I say my position first?
Yes,
Is that all right?
Yes, okay.
I know. Yeah, you guys are probably curious. So here's my position. Okay, it's a little. Okay, you're going to be surprised about this, I think.
Me?
Yeah. So I've actually said on my show a lot. It's a little controversial in my community, but I'm actually attracted to women of all groups, of all races. Okay. See, I'm 21st century. Well, here's the controversy. But I would never date someone from outside my race.
I agree.
Okay.
But here's why. So I'm Catholic. My body count 0. I want to have sex with my wife, just my wife. And I only want to have sex to have kids. And I want kids that are from the same group as me. I want white kids. So naturally, it follows if I want to have a wife and I want to have white kids, then I shouldn't date someone outside my race because I'm not going to marry them.
Correct.
So that's my position.
Yeah.
But we'll go around. What do you guys think about that? What are your thoughts on it in general? What about you? So I'm sorry. Someone had a thought.
I was going to say, if that's the way you think, Baby Blue, then keep that in your vicinity because,
But he has the right to not.
I agree. I agree. Because dating outside my race makes me feel weird. I've done it just to make sure that
What was his race?
He a Nicaraguan. He still had color. You feel me? He was Hispanic. But at the same time, he still wasn't a black man. You get what I'm saying? So I agree with you. Okay. You get what I'm saying? Like, love y'all, but I ain't gonna date you, baby. You get what I'm saying? And I get that. Because I want black babies. So if I want black babies and I want the black race to continue, I'm going to, lay down.
It's like he's trying to push his racial agenda. We're doing the same.
Yeah. I mean,
because it was cute how his message had a racial undertone and yours didn't. You guys said the exact same thing.
No, the only reason why mine didn't have a racial undertone is because I'm black and he's white, and people like
not necessarily because you called it interracial dating and he called it race mixing.
Yeah.
That is just.
Oh no, I was talking about his example. Like, he is a white guy who wants to date white women to have like white cultural standards, where my example was an Asian person dating an Asian person to have Asian cultural standards. It's the same exact thing, besides white and Asian, obviously. But coming from a black woman, I feel like, especially in the society where very democratic, very libertarian people are like supposed to be quote unquote the correct people, they would like accept me saying it before him just because it's me.
But again, it's about the undertone and how you guys said it. Like I said, you have the exact same message, but you called it race mixing.
And she called it interracial race mixing.
It was just the verbiage. One at a time, ladies. One at a time, so they can actually hear you. Somebody had something over here.
I just feel like it was the same message but different verbiage.
Yeah, and that's what makes it different. Like, I'm okay. Like, before we got on air, we were talking because somebody on my Instagram live asked me to ask him would he date a black girl, and he said it with a smile. No.
Right.
And I said, okay, I don't care because I wouldn't date a white man.
That's fine.
And then he called me racist.
Well, I said that as a joke, though. I said that laughingly, in a friendly way. Well, but here's the thing. We are saying a different thing because you're saying culture, but I'm saying race.
Exactly.
And I think that, but here's the thing. I feel like if a white person talks about their race and the way that black people talk about theirs, they get called racist. But you said you want to have black babies because you want the black race to continue. That's why I want to have white kids, because I want the white race to continue.
Well, it's racist because of historical and because of systemic racism that runs in white culture.
So, but what's racist about me wanting to have white kids?
Nothing is racist about you, particularly because you're 24 years old. However, coming from a white, not white, an Anglo background, and you know our country was built on the backs of slaves and or taking people's land and or acting like it's ours. It's always going to be there. So yeah, and the fact that white proud guys go, we're the superior race, so you can't act like that doesn't happen either. So just because you're sitting here going, oh well, I'm different, I like y'all, I'm just not gonna date y'all.
But both people didn't mention anything about superior. Even I did not mention anything about
No, I didn't say that. I'm just talking about culturally and historically. That's what I'm saying.
She's saying
I'm not saying nobody said that.
Oh, so like societally now the air is different because
systemic racism is real.
His ancestors might have had like totally bad intentions.
They did.
I don't even think it's too far removed from him. That's probably like his parents.
My ancestors have bad intentions.
In the sense,
I mean, you're a white man. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, but you don't. But you're making assumptions. I mean, what background am I? Do you know?
Right.
You said Italian beforehand.
He's Italian.
Yeah. So
the Italians supported Hitler, didn't they?
Well,
And
not the Italians that came to America, but also I support Hitler, so it's really besides the point. But
that's so.
But look, so you don't really understand, okay?
We are really good time now. Let's go. Sorry. Continue on.
I understand that someone can say something like, I support Hitler, and it's like, okay, well, maybe you can support one isolated thing that he did rather than like the tragedy that he was known for. And it's like a tongue-in-cheek thing to say. I mean, as someone who is dating a Jewish man, like I cannot just like sit here and get into an argument over that with you. Like we would be here all day.
That's true. Well, and I don't support just part of it. I support most of it. I'll just put that out there. But
why?
That's besides the point.
I don't know why.
Murdering
Why?
people?
Because, well, first of all, I don't think that actually happened. That's first. But second of all, I think the whole history of World War II is basically a lie, in my opinion.
It was genocide first.
It's also factual.
Can you explain that? So
it was
one at a time here.
Okay, we'd be happy to facilitate this debate. We'll allow it to happen. But just let Nick give his position, and then you guys can articulate your response back. But before we do that, did you want to answer the systemic thing?
Yeah, the Hitler thing to me is a diversion, but the systemic racism thing, that's really the critical thing.
Right.
See, I look at it kind of differently. You say that white people came and took the land, and we built it off of blacks and everything. The thing is, though, where were blacks working or where were they slaves in America? They were slaves in the South, and they were doing agricultural work. And so as a consequence, they didn't really...
Are we calling it work? Or were they forced? Were they happy to be there?
Forced labor is still labor, right?
That's
forced labor.
So, I mean, but the point is, it's agricultural labor. And, America's not built on... cotton necessarily. It's built on buildings and railroads and things like that.
That the majority of African American people actually help facilitate and make.
But the point is that blacks picking cotton doesn't mean that they built America. Moreover, all of the wealth that they created in the South was destroyed by the Civil War. Civil War destroyed the entire South. And by the end of it, there was almost nothing left. They were occupied by the North for a generation. So, the notion that like blacks built America, whites built America.
So you're saying that, black people just had to sit down and do the dirty work.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they were brought
White
here.
people.
They were told to do the work. And they did agricultural work. But to say, blacks built America, they were always a fraction of the population. They were never more
what
than
I said
10%.
is that America was built on the backs of slaves, is what I said. And then also the other part of that is
Well, going back to
we
the
said about the land
racism real quick, because you had said that you want black babies and everything else like that. And then he said he wants white babies. And then you said, well, back in the day, there's a part of systemic racism. That's what makes it racist. But my argument would be, if you look at someone like a Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, et cetera, they all push for, black families to stay together, support black businesses. How's that different from what he was saying? Because they were also around during the civil rights era.
No, I didn't say him wanting to date within his race is racist. I didn't equate that to systemic racism. I was talking about his verbiage. The fact that he called it mixed and the fact that it's blacks and the fact that it's like, yeah, I like y'all, but I'm cool. Right. That's where the systemic racism comes from. That's also, and I'm okay with that. Like I want to have a black family. I don't mind that. Like, I'm okay with that. I would never date seriously outside of my race. I wouldn't.
But would it be fair to say that systemic racism can be played on both parts? Because on the black community, they also were saying, hey, back then, same thing with the racist whites. There were also blacks that were racist back towards them. Like, hey, we're going to keep black culture
But black people being racist that was a response.
Yeah.
That was the response that was met with racism. That was them standing up for themselves. That was them regaining their lives and their cultures and their identities. That's what they had to do. But
isn't racism, regardless of whether it's in retaliation or not?
Fair point.
I feel like this is an argument of like, what is the definition of racism? It's general disdain or hatred towards one racial group for no reason.
Right.
Or like wanting to date someone.
Sorry, stop there. So if it's whatever you just said for no reason, right? We as black people had a reason to be racist. We had a reason to be angry. People literally came and took us from our families and beat us and made us stay here and work. That is not the same.
I absolutely believe that black people do have a reason to be angry. However, for moving the black community forward, I feel as if there has to be some level of evolution where the current white people do not necessarily have to pay for the sins of their potential ancestors.
Okay, so there has to be accountability before you can get to and white people don't want to have accountability. Some they want to go, those were, but we're talking about generalizations. We're talking about generalizations.
I don't know.
What does accountability look like, though?
Exactly. What does accountability look like? It looks like reparations. It looks like privilege.
No way.
No, it looks like reparations. It looks like owning what your ancestors did. It looks like not trying to whitewash history. Okay. It looks like
erase it. Period.
I mean, or erase it, right?
Teaching.
It looks like things like that
as it was.
So how would you do reparations? Would you tax all the white people and give it to all the black people?
No, I'm against that shit.
No, if we're talking about reparations, one of the first things I would do would find a way to fund education publicly that does not disadvantage low socioeconomic status households, because unfortunately right now a lot of Black and Hispanic people are living in low socioeconomic status, and when we have education that is funded by the neighborhood, you're putting people at a disadvantage.
We tried that already with the Black Panthers, and what happened with them? They became public enemy number one. FBI is number one because they were pushing the Black family. They were pushing cultural within our culture, our community, education, food programs, medical, like when Black people become too powerful, we become a threat.
We become a threat.
I understand the sentiment, I really do, but I don't necessarily believe in like monetary. Every Black person just gets $10,000
now.
Like that wouldn't help. But if we found a way to really infiltrate our youth with the power of education, I feel like that would be a very great first step. A very great first step, but that's not what's happening right now. And I feel like every political season, we all talk about who can use what bathroom. We talk about, can a woman have the right to whatever, but we never talk about like public education.
Well, public education is quite on the forefront right now.
Is it? Okay.
Absolutely.
Maybe,
what's the Supreme Court just did and what's happening in Ron DeSantis' state of Florida?
K through 12, though. I want to get into the K through 12 because that is what is setting the foundation.
But you live in Florida, baby. You don't know what Ron DeSantis is doing down here?
That's at the college level and the graduate level.
No, I mean like the younger generation.
What is it called? Race theory, critical.
Yeah.
Let me jump in here. Let me throw a little wrench into the conversation. Everybody's always talking about like education and stuff, and they say, well, the reason that the Blacks and Hispanics aren't performing so well is because the schools aren't funded, the schools aren't good.
There's not one reason, I don't think.
I think there is. And the reason is that when you look at IQ tests, Blacks score one full standard deviation lower than whites on average on IQ tests.
But we're not even getting the same education.
But what is your
we're not even getting the same.
But IQ doesn't have anything to do with education. IQ is innate.
do you think that it is like, are you talking about like a nature versus nurture argument here?
Yeah, I'm saying it's genetic.
So you believe that black people are inherently dumber?
I'm saying on average, blacks
the fact
have a
that we
full
are
standard
oppressed and
deviation
being put
lower
in,
IQ.
So you think it has nothing to do with the way that we
and being
don't have the
redlined
K-12
and being
education,
put in stressful situations. You know,
Here's why.
But you don't think that us being put in
wild argument.
put in
it happens to be true,
what they call ghetto. And do you understand? Do you understand what it is to live a black life? No, you don't. Right? Okay, right. So exactly.
Italian.
So no. But listen, I didn't say that has nothing to do with you liking me or disliking me, love. But when I'm put into when I'm redlined, when I can't go into certain communities, when my community doesn't have what your community has, and I have to go to your community to get what I need. I don't even have what I need in my community. What do you think that is? Like what are the response? These are our responses to the conditions. Do you understand?
Here's what I want to create. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Ladies, let him respond to her situation, and then we can go ahead and let you guys chip in. And then we'll probably have to go Rumble sooner than I thought.
Yeah.
But this is amazing. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
So here's the thing. What you're talking about when you say that, blacks don't have access to resources, that's of course because these neighborhoods are impoverished. They already don't have wealth. They already have these problems. I would throw something else into the mix and say, let's look at something like a food desert. That's a big complaint, is that they're not able to access fresh food in these neighborhoods. Well, Walmart just left Chicago. I'm from the suburbs of Chicago. Walmart just pulled out. Why did Walmart pull out? Is it because of redlining and white racism? Or did Walmart pull out because people kept stealing? They pulled out because people kept stealing.
That argument is a non sequitur, though.
Why is it non sequitur?
It's a non sequitur because talking about food deserts and trying to equate that to why you inherently believe that Black and Hispanic people are genetically and inherently less intelligent. It's a non sequitur to talk about why Walmart is no longer in Chicago.
Here's the correlation.
I want to touch on that too. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, here's the point: is that whenever there's a conversation about because fundamentally the conversation's about the disparity between blacks and whites, which is persistent in wealth, unemployment, income, all these things, and really there's two explanations, and one is circumstance, historical disadvantage, these kinds of things, which you might call nurture, so-called. I mean, for lack of a better word. The other argument is that blacks and whites are different, and they're genetically different, and these behaviors that they exhibit are the result of genetics. And so if black people have an average IQ of 85 in America compared to whites of 100, it doesn't mean that there are no black people with an IQ over 100, obviously. But it does mean that on average, there are fewer of them. And if that's the case, this has real world implications. There's going to be a reason why the black schools perform worse than the white schools. And it's got nothing to do with the school, the funding, the public policy, and it's got everything to do with their innate faculties in the beginning.
Hold on, wait.
Because
I need to hear it.
I want to go in
studies. As a Black woman who is in education, this is something that is very important to me. And I mean, we can talk all day long about the nature versus nurture debate. I do believe a lot of the struggles that the Black community is facing right now has to deal with nurture over nature. If we had the same resources like the K through 12 education and the strong family unit, I don't see why there is any genetic, like we have coded the human genome. I feel like if there was any genetic implication as to why Blacks and Hispanics are performing less, maybe the scientists who coded the human genome would have come out with that information already, but I don't think that they have.
Well, the brain accounts for 50% of the human genome. And when you look at Black people and white people, they have all kinds of different characteristics, different skin color, different gestation period, all kinds of different things.
Gestation period, by how many days?
I don't know the exact number of days, but if you look at it, it tracks. Asians have, I think it's the highest, and then it's whites, Hispanics, and then Blacks.
But everything, how is that following the argument that we're
here's the argument
here? Okay.
So if we agree that there are already differences that we can see, if there's physical differences, then it would follow if the brain is 50% of the human genome, it would be ridiculous to suggest that whites and Blacks and Hispanics and Asians all have the same brains.
Intelligence isn't necessarily phenotypic, though.
100% is. What is intelligence? There's a stronger correlation that intelligence is genetic than so many other things. It's a heritable trait. That's not even disputed.
So let's stop there because we keep talking about how education is more. No, because if we're talking about how education is more genetic, meaning passed down some kind of way. That's in with African Americans being lower than whites, it's only because we were not given education for so long.
That's not true, though.
Right.
That is very true.
It's not because when y'all got us from Africa, you got us. You got the greats. You got the scientists. You got the alchemists. You got all the greats. What y'all thought was great. What y'all thought were what. Right. And when I say y'all, I mean your ancestors. You feel me? So what y'all thought was great. Y'all scooped us up. Y'all got the greats, right? And then y'all shipped us exactly, right? And so it's genetic. Everything you got is from us. White come from black. Right. If you if you don't know, I'm just saying y'all just like something that God created because he has a sense of humor. So,
but see, that's the most hateful statement that's been said so far.
And it's okay. It's okay if you feel that way. But when you know yourself and you know your history, we can have this conversation all day. And like I said, I agree with you. I think interracial was the worst thing that we could have ever done.
That's insane.
It messed us up.
I say that all the time.
It messed us up.
The world went to shit when segregation ended.
It's okay.
I don't care what nobody got to say.
So you think it's the worst thing? You agree with her?
I agree with her.
Okay, and then you disagree.
We are all children of God. That is insane. That's an insane thing to say, that we should all be separated.
Yes.
Like, what was segregation?
Wow.
What was
like what? Come on.
Something that was brought to us.
But look how strong our community was with
our innate nature isn't our innate nature. We do not have our innate nature. Our innate nature. I'm sorry.
Let her finish her point. You made your statement that you think interracial was the worst thing. She agreed. Let her make her point why she.
Well, we know why she didn't get.
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, but I want her to be able to say. Yeah, she has her guy. But why? So you said we're all children of God, and finish your thing, and then I'll.
Well, I didn't finish mine, so I want to go next.
I mean, even in the Bible, it calls us to look at one another as brother and sisters. I don't think that the Lord would have wanted for there to be such division amongst races, or to be like ridiculing, or to think higher of one race or lower of one race in metrics of intelligence, or I know you didn't say this, but worth, or like deserving of kindness and love and so on and so forth. I just can't agree with that.
I don't think that because people wanted, I mean, mind you, white people were just like mean and racist, right? That is a given fact. No, however, just because I believe that people should stay within their own cultures, that's not necessarily a negative thing. Look how strong the African American community was when we were separates. Look how far the Black dollar was when we were separates. Now what we're doing is we're fighting against people like you and like Nick here, my buddy, because we want a seat at the table. But no, we didn't have to do that.
I would never be in competition with a Black person.
However,
I have to tell you that whenever a Black student comes to me and they want me specifically to mentor them in a education sense, like I will take them under my wing, and I do that for Black and Hispanic people more than I do that for white people, because
and you showing the favor. Why?
Because I want to see our community strengthened, but I would never impose my viewpoints on dating, saying, oh hey, I'm going to help you with this MCAT equation, but also when you're like successful, make sure you only date within your race.
I would never do that. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Because the other girls here have been kind of silent. Yeah. Okay, how many of you agree with race mixing? I know she does. One, well, yeah, obviously do. I was going to ask you guys. Do you guys have white parents?
Yeah, I was like, my mom is white, so there's no way I couldn't.
Mom is white, dad is black.
We wouldn't be here without.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I was like, no, maybe
that's fine. That's fine. So you guys agree with race mixing? You do too, or you mix as well?
Yes, I am Haitian, but I'm also Dominican and Venezuelan.
Okay, you can make the argument that the Dominicans are African Americans, so Afro-Americans or black. Excuse me. What about you? What do you think?
I'm American, but I think.
Do you believe in race mixing, like a white dude getting a black chick or vice versa? You do? You agree with it?
That.
Okay, so you two think, hey, keep it in the.
I mean, it's just not. I mean,
okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. I just want to kind of get an idea. So, all the girls
I'm not saying that it's a negative thing, though. I'm definitely not saying that it's a negative thing. I just have my preference, and I believe in letting people have their preference and exercising that.
I agree with that 100%. I agree with that.
Okay, so it looks to me like all of you are for race mixing. Then you just only two of you don't practice it.
Right. Do what you want to do. That's your business.
Do you date white guys? Guys outside of the black race?
No, you don't.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
facts.
I can't say yes
you don't.
because but it's a type thing. I feel.
What about you? Do you date outside of your race?
No.
I dated white guys though. I will say that.
Yeah, I have too, but it's just a type thing.
Of course, definitely for money.
Do you date outside of your race? I mean, black people.
I have in the past, but I don't anymore.
Your preference is black. Okay.
Yeah.
So what about you? Do you date outside of your race?
Yes, I do.
You do. Okay. So realistically speaking, all of you are for race mixing, but only 2 of you date outside of your race. It seems to me. Okay. All right. Just you got the numbers here.